Hi, sixth graders. We're on lesson 5-3. So if you want to turn in your notebook to the next blank page right after lesson 5-2 and begin your notes for 5-3. So on the top of that page, you want to label it lesson 5-3, adding and subtracting mixed numbers, page 242. You do not need to write the learning target down, but the learning target is basically the same as the lesson, being able to add and subtract mixed numbers. So when we add mixed numbers, okay, remember a mixed number is a whole number with a fraction. Remember when we add fractions, if they have different denominators, we need to find a common denominator. So the first thing that we do when we add mixed numbers is we look at our fractions and find a number that both of the denominators have in common. For this one, 5 can go into 10, so we're just going to change this one to tenths. So 5 times 2, and then I do the same, so 4 times 2. So now I'm going to rewrite this. Instead of trying to do this in my head, I'm going to rewrite it as 2 and 8/10 plus 3 and 1/10. And now I add, so I add my whole numbers together, which is 5, and then I add my fractions. 8 plus 1 is 9. And then I keep the denominator, 5 and 9/10. And then our last step is to simplify, which 5 and 9/10 is already simplified, so then we leave it like that. Okay, I want you to pause me really quick and do this in your notebook, or if you'd like to be refreshed and watch it, then that's fine too, but just test yourself and see if you understand adding mixed numbers. So 1 and 5/9 plus 4 and 1/6. We know that both 9 and 6 go into 18, so I'm going to change this to 18ths. So I have 1 and 10/18 plus 4 and 3/18. So my answer is going to be 5 and 13/18, which 13 is prime, so we know then that it can't be simplified anymore, so we leave it just like that. Okay, if we're subtracting, we can ask ourselves, well, first of all, we want the whole numbers, the bigger one, to be first. Then we need to ask ourselves, we need to look at the fractions, and we are subtracting 5/6 minus 1/3. So we need to find a common denominator. So I know that 3 can go into 6, so 3 times 2, and then 1 times 2. So I'm going to rewrite it as 8 and 5/6 minus 2 and 2/6. So I have 8 minus 2 is 6. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 minus 2 is 3/6. 6 and 3/6 equals 6 and 1/2. Okay, so sometimes we may need to rename one of our mixed numbers in order to subtract. So we have 2 and 1/3 minus 1 and 2/3. Because we have 2 wholes versus the 1 whole, we do know that this number is bigger, but 1/3 subtracted by 2/3 is difficult to do. We're getting into our negatives. So there's a way that we can rename this fraction to make it a little bit easier. So 2 and 1/3 is the same as if we take out one of our whole numbers and make it, so if we have 1, then we take one of our whole numbers and we make it 3/3. because 1 plus 3/3 is 1 plus 1, which equals 2. And then we still have our 1/3. So this is kind of a side addition problem to rename this. So 1 plus 3/3 is 2 and 1/3. But we want to leave our 1 alone, and we're going to actually add 3/3 plus 1/3, and we get 4/3. So we're going to rewrite it as 1 and 4/3 minus 1 and 2/3, and it's already have like denominators, so that makes it a little bit easier. And then we subtract our whole numbers, which is 0, and then we subtract our fractions. 4 minus 2 is 2, and then I keep the denominator, so it is 2/3 would be our answer. Okay, let's do another one like that. We have 5 minus 4, which we can do, but we can't do 3/8 minus 11/12. First, we need to look and, well, we can either change our denominators first, or we can rename our mixed number into a different mixed number, but it equals the same. So if I pull out a whole number from 5, so basically you're taking the whole number and subtracting 1, and then I pulled out 8/8 from that whole number, and then I still have my 3/8. So 4 plus 1 is 5 and 3/8, but we're going to leave our 4 alone. So we now have 4 and 11/8. Another thing that you can think about is you're taking 1 away, so you have 4, and then you're adding 8 to your numerator. You're basically taking that 8/8 out and adding it to your fraction. So 4 and 11/8 minus 4 and 11/12. Now we need to find a common denominator, which we know that they both can go into 24. Notice that I'm multiplying by the number that's going to make my denominator 24. So 4 and 33/24 minus 4 and 22/24. 4 minus 4 is 0. We don't need to write the 0 because we have fractions that go along with it. 33 minus 22 is 11. So it would be 11/24. Okay, and then the last problem that the last type of problem that I want to talk about is if we have a whole number minus a fraction. So if I have 8 minus 3 and 3/4, first of all, I know that I can change 8 into a fraction by rewriting it over 1. So I could do 8 over 1 minus, and then we're going to keep 3 and 3/4. Okay? Or I can take 8 and I can take one whole number away from it and get 7. And I can actually change this to 7 and 4/4, which is exactly the same as 8 because we have 7 and we have 1. 7 plus 1 equals 8. 7 and 4/4 minus 3 and 3/4 equals 4 and 1/4. Okay, I know that's a little bit confusing. We're going to go over this in a second, but I want to give you a second to try to do it on your own. So pause me if you're going to do that and try it in your notebook. Okay, so I'm going to change 7 to 6, and 2 halves. So notice when I pull my number out from my whole number and I make it a fraction, our denominator is always what the denominator is in that problem. It makes it a lot easier. So we have 6 and 2 over 2. 6 plus 2 over 2 is 6 plus 1, which equals 7. Minus 1, oops, and 1 over 2. So 6 minus 1 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. So 5 and 1/2 would be our answer. So adding mixed numbers, we find a common denominator and we add and solve. Subtracting mixed numbers, you need to figure out if you need to convert it, if you need to rename a mixed number, or if you need to change a whole number into a mixed fraction. All right, make sure that you log into NICU and take your 5-3 NICU quiz. If you have notes or anything that you want to do during the quiz, then you can also write this on your 5-3 notebook section. All right, thank you and have a super evening.